I guess I never showed you guys the cool bus here, bus 68. So a while back, the school was getting rid of a bunch of buses. I think there was 2004 TC2000s in a lot, but there was 4 of them. And then there was this one, bus 68 and bus 69. Ha ha ha. They were getting rid of those in a lot together. So we'll call him Larry. Larry wanted one of these, but he didn't need 2 of them. So he got together with Swiss, we'll call him, and Swiss agreed to buy one of these, and Larry wanted the other one. So you got bus 68 and bus 69. 68 here is a 98. It's got the 12 valve Cummins in it, and all mechanical. Well, Larry wanted the newer one that had the 24 valve Cummins in it, so that's the one he ended up with. So Swiss ended up with this one. He ended up fixing a bunch of stuff on it. I did transmission, killer dowel pin fix. Sounds like it just leaked off enough air. It's ready to build up some more air pressure when I start it. Fixed that tappet cover that was leaking, and he got to a point where he was done with it, and we talked to him and he agreed to sell it to us. It's got air ride suspension on the back. It's got this through bumper exhaust, which I thought was really dumb until I started running buses in a fleet, and I realized, no, it's a pretty smart thing. It's hard to damage your exhaust. Anyway, we put this hitch on there. We actually drove out to New York, and that's where this bus is originally from. It's a New York spec. And we put this hitch on there, and that way we could rent a U-Haul and put the car on it and tow it home. Well, there's a new piece of exhaust here because the original pipe actually came back further where this hitch went on, and the hitch is pretty easy. Drill 6 holes in the frame and it bolts right up onto the frame. It's a standard hitch here. It's ultra frame, and it's the same one I put on the gray bus. There you go, 41947 draw tight. A little more expensive now, but so anyway, we had to cut the exhaust because the original pipe ran back here further, and then when I bought this new updated pipe, it ended up being back for far enough that I didn't have to modify it at all. That air tank right there, she's in sad shape. I gotta fix that. And the air conditioning too. You got fittings that are completely rotted off, so if you're gonna fix the air conditioning on this, you probably need to change all of the lines at this point. That's what happens when you're in the north. So as you can see, it's got air conditioning. Said it's already got air ride. Nope, it's in the Midwest now, I guess. It's a little rusty now, unfortunately. You do have storage compartments just on this side, and dual stop signs. Tall window, New York spec. It's got my favorite double nickel mirrors on it. Interestingly, it has these Wayland strobing lights on there, but they are not operating because I don't have the strobe flasher for it, and I briefly looked around for one and I didn't get it. Actually, thanks Larry, the strobe flasher was missing in bus 69, and when he bought it, he took it out of 68, put it in the other bus, so that's why it's missing in this bus. Side mounted 60-gallon fuel tank. Stepwell's still in pretty good shape from what I can see here. It's covered in rubber. So we did take out all the seats that were in it. It had blue high back New York seats with seat belts in it. Our plan was to make this a bus for our fleet, so that's why we got all these coach bus seats in here, but they don't mount quite right, so I'm going to have to do some adjusting on the frames. We've got a new piece of exhaust pipe here. It's actually off of a Gen 1 Dodge, so I'd have to modify it a little bit and shorten it because the downpipe on this one, well, needs a little bit of help. Being from New York, it's had a wigwag. That's a pretty cool spec. It's got an Allison 545. The old slush box. And there's your old 12 valve there. There we go. Lock her on up. This thing is actually a really good runner. It's even got this goofy thing for the blow-by that comes out of the engine, and it's right there, and it recirculates I guess all the blow-by back into the intake for emissions and doesn't put all that mess out in the road. I don't know if that's a New York thing or what. Added on later. Looks like we're originally a 65 passenger. This is a 98. Got the 478 rear end, so it's geared a little bit lower than the old white bus, but so not quite as fast. You get about 65 out of this. So interesting, it's got this because of the strobe monitor. I'm sorry, that's your monitor for the strobe lights, and then just your regular light monitor just with the Beltline lights. Aftermarket radio. Being New York, it's got a destination sign, and I guess that strobe flasher, I don't know, plugged into this or something. I don't know, right here. I think that's these here that it would plug into. I don't know, I've never seen them work. You got a telescoping wheel. This has this goofy Bluebird, the multi-function gauges, where your center gauge will do all the different gauges that you go through. The old standard push-pull switch panel. Cole Hersey switches. Air brakes on this one. The air ride's only in the back, it's not on the front. It's got springs in the front. Seat's not air ride, it's a regular seat. You do have an air operated door though. Like I said, this thing's got air conditioning. It's got the tall ceiling to it, which is pretty cool. I guess New York's got some goofy specs as far as you have to have a side door if you have so many seats. This is originally spec'd as a 65 passenger bus, so it's kind of a shorter transit, flat nose. This glass had been changed and, well, it doesn't quite match. I don't like it. And then this frame doesn't match up. They didn't put this thing together right, the glass, but it's funny. There you go. Chrysler for you. Chrysler glass. That's probably why it is. So that's bus 68 for you. Eventually we're going to get this one painted up and start using it too. But we still love it. I take it for a ride every once in a while. Air horn. Boy, that's fun. Alright, so that's the old bus 68. So being a 98, those multi-function gauges that are in this thing, that was new, I think, for that year, and I've only seen a handful of the 12 valves that have those, because only half the year would have had it. See, this is built 1 of 98. So that's why it's a 12 valve. There's your gauges there. And this is an older style with the ABS light that stays on until you start driving down the road. There's a little switch right here that says gauge. You see right now that's on water temperature. It'll switch back to fuel gauge. And that's like the, I don't know, the standard or the default. It's back on voltage now, oil pressure, and then when it switches back to fuel gauge, now you can change it with the button here, flip the switch and see where you're at. I think this thing is set up with all kinds of safety features that if you, I don't know, you lose oil pressure, the gauge is going to go to that. If it gets too high, or you lose voltage, it's going to switch to that, all kinds of safety features. And then your air temperature here is in these bars, which is kind of goofy. You can see this thing's only got 110,000 miles. Pump down the brakes, you can see the gauges start to go down. Alright. I'm sure I forgot to talk about some stuff, but there it is, bus 68. The cool bus. This actually has another cool spec too, is it's got a locking door in it. Put a little pressure on the door there so you can actually lock your door. You can see here I got our TC2000 keychain to match the bus. I actually got that from Ricky. There you go, locked up. And Matt Crawley, calm down. I do start the old white bus every once in a while and never fails. She's tough.